Hey everyone. We got some people logging on. Good morning, Ken. Who else is here? Hey Jen, how's it going? I'm just gonna turn my phone off. Hope everyone is doing awesome this morning. I just wanna make sure you guys can hear me. If you can hear me, will you go over to the chat box and let me know how many rolls of toilet paper you guys have? I love that Kyle knows exactly how many rolls he has. Wow, Ken has 86. That's great. Good. I'll be calling you. 9 left. Yeah, we're kind of running out here, but I feel certain that if I reach out to some of my neighbors, that they'll set me up with some of these things. So, how's everyone feeling out there? It's pretty scary. Yeah, pretty scary times. Yeah, Jana's going to resort to the toilet paper black market. Is there something, do we know about that? Like, is that in existence? I love it. Great. Good morning, Christina. Where's everyone from? And also, I know there's a lot of real estate agents on this call, but if you're not a real estate agent, why don't you tell me what industry that you're in, what industry you're in? Tennessee, KW Plano, of course. Boulder, real estate. Hey, Christine. Florida. Hey, Anna. We had our happy hour last night. It was fun. There's Alyssa from Houston. Let's see. So Jana is asking, is there a way for you to see all the chat comments? I think so, because I've got it set up for all panelists. So I think it's okay. Well, I'm not sure. Kimberly's here from Minneapolis. Hey, Edmundo, how are you? Congrats on the launch of your new business. That's awesome. Perfect time to launch a new business. Christina said she's seeing all the chat lines, Jana, so it might be a setting on your end. Marysville, awesome. Anchorage, all the way up in Anchorage. Are there any corona cases in Alaska yet, Philip? Or are you guys kind of isolated up there? 6 so far. Okay, awesome. I mean, not awesome, but yeah, we're still pretty contained here in Austin. Only 23 cases reported so far. And so we'll just wait a couple other minutes. We've got about 34 attendees and we have about 150 people registered. So we'll just maybe wait a few more minutes to let a few more people hop on. What do you guys what are you guys hoping to learn today? Ways to cut expenses and manage a budget. Okay, great. We'll talk about that. How to decide what 20% of things we should cut. Okay, we'll talk about that too. How to navigate a budget. Okay. Okay, prioritizing expenses. Yep, okay, we'll talk about that. Yeah, well, that's what we're going to talk about, expenses. So you guys you're all in the right place. Got a few more people on, so maybe we'll just wait one more minute. Thank you for everyone who is on time. Okay, replacement, substitutions, alternative for critical items. Great. Hi, Martina. Welcome, everyone. For those of you that are just joining, feel free to go ahead and use that chat box. We're, just to get kind of used to the chat box, go ahead and tell us how many rolls of toilet paper that you have in your house. So we know where to go. Okay, employees, keep them. Okay, offer some sick leave. Okay. 4. Yeah, Mary Sully just moved to Austin. She's only got 4 rolls. A dozen. Okay, that's good. Alyssa has 40 rolls, everyone. She's in Houston. I know her address. And she's hedging her bets. She's got 20 to 30. 30. Yeah, I think we're good. I told my kids we're rationing. We're down to four pieces per person per visit. Yeah, anyone having 40 plus for sure. Well, eventually, so actually what I heard about the toilet paper is that it's not that people are hoarding it so much, it's just that toilet paper takes up so much space on the shelf that unlike bottles of mustard or something like that, most stores don't keep that much because it just takes up so much space on the shelf. And then obviously because it takes up so much space, it leaves the store really quickly. And so that's part of the reason it feels like there's like a run on toilet paper, but it's just because it takes up so much space, and then they just don't stock a lot of it in the warehouse. So it's just something that's always coming in the warehouse. And so if people take twice as much as they need, it actually depletes it a lot faster than like if you took 2 bottles of mustard. So now you know. Anyway, it's 9:34 and I want to respect everyone's time. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can see what I'm working with here. Get my PowerPoint up. All right, so welcome everyone. My name is Wendy Papasan and I'm your host this morning, and we're going to be talking about managing expenses for small business owners. Just a little bit about me. So I am the founder of Papasan Properties, which is a real estate team here in Austin, Texas. We have locations in Dallas, Houston, and Minneapolis. And we also have a couple of other businesses. One is Papasan Home Services, which is our home maintenance and remodeling company. And then I'm a co-founder of Amplify, which is, it's basically an event that helps women live their best lives and amplifies the lives of women in business and amplifies the lives and voices of women in business. So last year, our businesses had a combined revenue of about $5 million. And I'll just let you know that a lot of what we're going to be talking about today is from the book Shift. So my husband wrote the book Shift with Gary Keller. I've got a copy of it right here. It's really good. And if you don't have a copy, I highly recommend that you pick one up. He wrote this book in 2000 and let's see, when did that come out? 2007. I was not yet a real estate agent, but I did start my business pretty much you know, in the last market shift. If you look at this little graph I have here, so I started my business in the 4th quarter of 2009. So if you look at that graph, you can see that that was either the best or the worst time to start a business. And I honestly would argue that sometimes a shift can be the best thing for your business. I know it doesn't feel like that now. It feels really scary. And everyone's concerned about the potential fallout. And, you know, a lot of businesses will go out of business. But I'm here to tell you today that if you can pivot, if you can shift your business, no matter what business you get in, opportunities like there are opportunities to really take market share. And the reality is, you know, in the real estate market, there's way too many real estate agents. And, you know, I'm in a city of Austin, Texas, and we have a lot of restaurants and bars, and not everyone is going to make it. And if you are one of the restaurants or bars anywhere and in the world who are able to pivot very quickly, then you'll be, you know, we'll look up in a year, 18 months, or whenever this is over, and you will be able to have more customers than ever. So, okay, so here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about getting real. Okay, what I mean by getting real is there is, I think among certain people, there's a feeling that this is something that's going to blow over quickly. Maybe you're in a city where not much is even happening. Maybe you're in a city where the restaurants are still open, where the bars are still open. But the reality is that we've got to get real. We got to get our mindset straight here. This is happening. It's going to have massive economic fallout. It's going to affect the economy in every single way, no matter what kind of business you're in, from real estate to the restaurant industry. People are laying people off all over the place. If you look at Portland and Seattle, where they've been hit quite hard, there's thousands and thousands of people applying for unemployment right now. So the first thing you got to do is you just have to understand that this is really happening. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is how to take action and what to do. The third thing we're going to go over is really your people. So if you work in a business where you've got other people working for you, or maybe you're just self-employed, we're going to talk about the best way to, first of all, lead through a crisis, manage your people. If it comes down to it, how do you have the conversation with your people about, perhaps laying them off or having them have a salary decrease, or what does that look like? And then the last thing we're going to talk about is personal expenses. And then we will briefly touch on potential ways to generate revenue in a shift like this, but that's not going to be the main thing we're going to talk about. We're really just going to focus on these 4 things. All right, so here's the reality. The people most responsive to change are the ones most likely to survive and thrive, right? So first of all, kudos to you guys for being here, for being responsive, for listening to what I have to say. And if you know the DISC profile at all, the DISC, 70% of people in this world are a high S, which means they do not like change. And probably most of you are not a high S. You are entrepreneurs, so you're probably more of like a high D. Most people are sitting at home, watching Netflix, burying their heads in the sand, and you guys are the ones that are not only going to survive, but you're going to thrive through this, because you're here, you're listening, and you're working with your teams to come out with a plan to make things better. Let me just give you an example. So we have a friend who runs a restaurant here in town, El Arroyo, and even though the bars and restaurants in Austin have only been shut down for literally 1 day, he's already working with a team to create a way to provide live music, live streaming, live music inside of restaurants, but all virtual, where people will contribute to watch live music inside a restaurant. And so both the restaurant and the musician will make money. So that's how we have to be thinking right now, is that we have to be thinking creatively. We have to just be willing to really go to plan B, because that's what we're talking about here. And here's this quote by James York from the University of Maryland. This is from the Shift book. He says, "The most successful people are those who are good at plan B." And I can tell you that the most successful businesses are the ones that go to plan B over and over again. I think about some long-term businesses that have been around for 150 years, a business like Nordstrom. I can tell you that they've had to shift multiple times over the years. And most of you probably haven't been in business more than 10 years. That's just the reality of small businesses. And if you guys want to create a legacy business, if you want to not only survive but thrive, then you're going to have to be really good at plan B, which is pivoting and getting creative. All right, here's the thing. A lot of people think that you can just make more money in a shift, and the reality is you can't revenue your way out of a shift. The number one determinant of thriving, of course, is getting business, right? As a business, we have to continually have customers come to us, but when we shift from thriving to just surviving, we're really talking about expense management. And you just can't revenue your way out of a shift. It just takes too long. It just takes too long to generate a customer. We are going to talk a little bit about creative ways for you to come up with that, for you to generate revenue kind of during a shift. But the fastest way to profitability, really in any market, not just now, really in any market, is to look at expense management. And that's what we're going to talk about. Sam Walton, you know, not necessarily, just a very, very wealthy man and built a very, very successful company, tells us that our money was made by controlling expenses, not by growing our revenue. It's by controlling our expenses. And a lot of us who've had businesses for maybe 7 years while the market's been going up, we've just been able to kind of revenue our way out of any expense management. And so it's for some of us, you know, that make it through the shift, we'll be a lot better off for it, because we'll have really tightened up our expenses. And it's just a great lesson for all of us, and we should be doing it every month. All right, so let's take action. So that's getting our mind right, and once you've had your mind right, we have to take action. And what that looks like is the first thing that you're going to do, and you guys are going to do this today, okay? Those of you that work with an admin team, you're going to call your bookkeeper, you're going to call your operations director, whatever that looks like, and you're going to print out 3 months of your credit card statements, and you're going to print out 3 months of your bank statements. And if you have any other expense reports anywhere else, you're going to print those out too. And you're going to sit down with your operations leader, and you're going to go through your credit card statements and your bank statements line by line by line by line. And I'm going to tell you guys, this is not going to be fun. Depending on the size of your business, this can take you the rest of the day. It's not fun. This is not fun, and it's essential, right? So this is something that you are going to do today. And then you're going to get 2 highlighters, okay? Get a pink highlighter, get a yellow highlighter, and you're going to start highlighting things, and you're going to essentially start trimming the fat. And where do you start? Okay, well, it's easy. You start with the things that you can do without. It's as easy as that. You look through this and you say, can we run our business without it? Yeah, we can run our business without it. And so when you find expenses like that, you are going to get those off your you're going to cut those things within the next 48 hours. Okay? Within the next 48 hours, you're going to eliminate all those things that you can do without. And I'm going to bet that if you're looking through your credit card statements and you're looking through your bank statements, then you're going to find lots of things that you can do without in the next 48 hours, right? So those are going to be your A expenses. And then your B expenses are really going to be those that you're going to, they're somewhat necessary to the business, but if you need to, you can still cut them. Okay, so that's going to be your next highlighter color. And you're going to cut those in the next week. You're going to just call those vendors, you're going to talk to those people, whatever that looks like, and you're just going to cut, that if it's necessary. And then you're left with your expenses that are really crucial to your success, which some of those are the lead generation things that you're doing. And you're just going to see what happens depending on the market. Okay. So every single day you're going to be asking yourself, what's my revenue, right? What's my money coming in, right? And what's my money going out? And you're going to be looking at those things that are crucial to success. Because the reality is if you stop your lead generation altogether, you're going to look up in 6 months and you're going to literally have no business. So what I would do is everything that is generating business for you, you want to make sure that it's getting a 4 times return. So that's your minimum standard. Okay. Look at all your lead generation activities, and is it bringing $4 in for every dollar that you're spending? I would also ask the question, are these expenses, right? These lead generating expenses, these things that are generating customers for you, are you able to get a return on the investment in 30 days or less, right? Because some of these things, that's long-term lead generation, where you look up and you say, well, this might get me a lead in a year or whatever it is. I would consider pausing those for the moment, right? And seeing what the market seeing what the market does, what the economy does. So just ask yourself, for every single lead generation expense, are you getting a 4 times return? And can you make money off of this in 30 days or less? And if not, they're gone. All right, the other thing that you're gonna ask yourselves about your expenses is, so some of these expenses that we have to keep, okay? But maybe we can take some fixed costs and they can become variable. So for example, maybe you have a full-time bookkeeper and you're able to, tell that bookkeeper, hey, we can pay you by the hour, something like that. So just really ask yourself that question. Can any of these fixed costs become variable? Maybe you have work that you're doing in-house and you can outsource it instead. So just look at that. The other thing that I would recommend is, since we're all small business owners, is can you barter any of your expenses, right? Are there things like, if you're a hairdresser, can you cut your landlord's hair in exchange for rent, right? There's going to be certain things that we still all need. Maybe you're a restaurant, maybe you can, deliver a meal to your landlord for the time being. So just get creative, think about what you can barter, and if there's anything like that, then definitely do that. The other thing that I would do is I would think about renegotiating some of the terms of some of maybe your long-term fixed expenses that you've got. So maybe you've got some kind of vendor relationships, and I would just be really cognizant that, I'm looking at the chat button here. I would be very cognizant that sorry, I'm closing the chat button, that your vendors are also probably small businesses, okay? So just do not take that lightly. It's important for us to do what we can and to help our fellow small business people. And your business is more important. Your business is your business, and you need to take care of yourself and your people. What you might be able to do is you might be able to negotiate with your landlord. You might say, hey, listen, if you can delay my payments right now, I'm happy to pay you back in a year, 18 months, or whatever that looks like. You also might be able to just call some vendor relationships that you have and say, you know what, can we pause it? Can we pause this relationship, whatever it is? Please know that I'm going to support you when I can, and I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back when I'm financially able, but I just have to pause this for the next 2 to 3 months. And, call vendors to renegotiate or delay the terms. I mean, if you have a relationship and some of these vendors know that you are going to come back to them, right? Instead of just quitting altogether, I can guarantee you that your landlord or a vendor that you have is going to be open to renegotiating, as opposed to you just like canceling. So, all right. So, no expense is untouchable, right? So the other thing that you can do is shift fixed cost to performance-based cost. So if you have certain maybe people in your organization, and you can say to them, hey, we all have to band together here. I can really only pay you based on performance. And so that's a possibility where it's a win-win. So if they're able to maybe generate business for the team as a whole or the business as a whole, you can pay them based on performance as opposed to just having fixed costs. And that's not a bad idea anyway, just for any business moving forward. And then sometimes you can extend the fixed cost to lower the monthly payment. So it's kind of like saying, if you've got a year subscription to something, right, and you're 8 months into it and you really can't afford to pay it for the next 4 months, just call that vendor and say, hey, you know what, I can't pay this for the next 4 months. Can we extend it? Can we go 4 months into the future? And again, everything's negotiable right now, and you should feel perfectly comfortable talking, having that open dialogue, not only with your people, but with some of the vendors that you're working with. All right, so here are a few creative ideas to increase revenue. There's a lot of different people with a lot of different businesses on here, so I definitely don't have the answer. It's just some things that I've kind of been seeing out there. One idea is to pre-sell gift cards. Obviously, if you're in real estate, that doesn't work, but if you're with a local business, that can be very helpful. You can deliver your product, whatever it is. I know that there are certain stores in Austin that are literally taking online orders for things and then delivering them to people's, putting them right outside people's doors. Consider Shopify to sell your product. So if you have a product that can be sold, sign up for Shopify and consider selling it there, because there's a lot of online business that's still being transacted. In fact, Amazon is hiring right now. The other thing that you can do is if you have like a community-based business, so maybe you have a coffee shop, right? And you've got some regular customers, consider creating a daily hangout for community. People are starved for community right now. And it might be that that you're a neighborhood realtor, right? One of the things I did last night was I just did a virtual happy hour. So I'm pretty extroverted and I miss my people. So I had a virtual happy hour last night. It was BYOB, of course. And we were all there with our different drinks, and it was great. It's just a nice way to create community. All you have to do is set it up, get a Zoom account, invite people. And if you're a restaurant or a coffee shop, you could do it on a daily basis. People can just come and hang out. And wow, talk about going the extra mile. The other thing I read this morning is that, if you have employees, especially if you've got employees that are in the service industry that are now unemployed, Amazon Prime Now is hiring. Instacart is now hiring. Sort of these like gig economy workers are hiring. And if your employees don't have a car, then help them with a car. You can also sell your inventory on eBay, Amazon, or Craigslist if your store is not open. You can open accounts on all of those things and start selling immediately. I'm so aware of touching my face on this webinar. Okay, so the other thing that I would encourage you to do is Small Business Administration is providing disaster assistance loans. They're not providing them in all the states now. I know for sure they're not providing them in Texas at the moment. However, they are in multiple states, and they are providing low interest disaster loans for employers with 500 employees or less, which is everybody on this webinar. I don't have all the details. I'm not an expert in this, so I apologize. Go to that website. It's sba.gov, smallbusinessassociation.gov, or just Google SBA disaster assistance programs, and you'll get some of this information. The other thing I think the government's doing right now is they're providing some payroll credits for employees who are sick with the coronavirus. And also what I've heard is that the IRS is going to waive penalties and interest for 90 days. Taxes are still due on the 15th, but they'll waive all the penalties and interest for 90 days, which will help some of us who have taxes due in less than a month. So definitely, take a look at that. All right. Next thing we're going to talk about is your people. Okay, so the last thing, for a lot of us, our people are our main expense. And the last thing that we want to do is to let our people go. Okay, so your people are counting on you to feed their families. And as a leader, you have a responsibility and an obligation to do whatever you can to cut every single other expense before your people. But let's talk about how to do that. Okay, so I would suggest that if you are worried about your finances, which everyone is, that's why you're here, you want to sit down with your leadership team and create a plan with them. Just be really open and honest. And if you are a leader who hasn't been open and honest about your finances, and a lot of people aren't, no problem, but now is the time to really get collaborative with your leadership team, because a lot of top-down kind of top-down, I guess, micromanagement or edicts from above is just not going to work when people are feeling scared, when they're feeling frightened. And so coming up with a plan in collaboration with your leadership team is really, really essential. The number one job we have as leaders is to make your people feel safe. and also to let them know what's going on. People really need to be led through change. They really do. That's your job as a leader, is to make them feel safe, communicate clearly what the plan is, and to be led through the change. So first thing you're going to do after you get off this webinar is you're going to go and you're going to print out those credit card statements. You're going to print out those bank accounts, and you're going to start sitting down and cutting. And the other thing that you're going to do is you're going to start creating kind of a what if plan with your leadership team. So those are your 2 to-do items for the next 48 hours, sitting down with your leadership team and really getting collaborative and really getting honest about what's going to happen. And then honestly, coming up with a plan now, right? And letting everybody know what the plan is for the next 30, 60, 90, 120 days. Hopefully it's not going to be longer than that, but we don't know. It's going to be a lot easier now than 120 days in, when everyone's feeling extra stressed. So whatever that plan looks like for you, it really should be what expenses we're going to cut now, what we're going to cut in a week, and what does that look like in a month, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. All right, it's really, really important for you to stay in communication with your teams, whatever that looks like. For a lot of us, we're working remotely now. Everyone's feeling isolated. The tendency is going to be just to bury our heads in the sand, start watching Netflix. It's just so important for you to be in constant communication with your team. What we've started on our team is a daily huddle via Zoom. And luckily we already had a huddle at 9 that we did every day on the phone, and this is just an extension of that. And honestly, you've got to pour into your people right now. You've got to make them feel safe. You have to repeat the plan. You have to keep up morale, right? You can't come in and be all doom and gloom. Nobody needs that right now. They need you to be positive. They need you to be a leader, really. And this is your moment to shine as a leader. And I can tell you, if you navigate your people through this, they're going to be very grateful, and they're going to, sing your praises till the end of time. So the plan that you're going to come up with in the next 48 hours, you need to just you need to restate it simply and often. You're just going to need to keep going over and over the plan. And then again, just keep those lines of communication open and solicit feedback for everyone. It's really going to be, and honestly, like on Monday, our whole team sat down and we collaborated and we came up with a bunch of ideas, and it was awesome, right? Your people often have better ideas than you do, believe it or not. And the best thing that you can do is sit down and ask them for creative solutions to the problems that you're having. So you're going to print out those things, start cutting expenses, come up with a plan for your team, and then you're going to start meeting every single day. Even honestly, if there's not enough work right now to go around, if you're still figuring everything out, you still got to meet every day and communicate the plan. And then really, you need to let everyone know that it's all hands on deck, right? Nobody gets to sit down. We're all in this together. Without the whole team sort of rallying around everyone, some businesses might fail, right? The best businesses are going to be the ones that have a very, very, very strong team, and that teamwork is going to show up. No one is allowed to say, hey, that's not my job. That's not my job description. And for most people in most businesses, everyone's got to start generating business for the team, whatever that looks like, right? We have to be all in. And everyone really needs to be flexible in order to protect the whole company. Otherwise, we're all going to go out of business, right? You just have to lay it on the line. Hey, you know what? If everybody's not all in, we're all going to go out of business. And then sometimes, if you're looking at possibly laying people off instead of letting one person go, first of all, I would suggest a hiring freeze on any employees that have sort of a fixed costs, like salaried employees. But consider a salary cut across the board. So you might go and say to your team, hey, rather than laying these people off,
you know, laying certain people off. What do you guys think about everyone taking a salary cut of 20%, right? And that includes you as the leader. So that's a way to protect the whole company and buy yourself a little time until we kind of figure out how to be creative and generate more business moving forward. All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about is also cutting your personal expenses, because if you're making less money, then you need to also cut down on your personal expenses. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to print out your cable bills. I mean, not your cable bills. You're going to print out your credit card bills. You're going to print out your accounts, your bank accounts, and you're just going to go through, and first thing you're going to do is you're going to cut out any recurring expense that doesn't make sense. I can guarantee you that every single person on this call is going to print that out, and they're going to be surprised at the random monthly costs that are showing up in their personal expenses. One of the nice things about Wells Fargo, and I don't know if other banks do this, is that you can go in and they'll actually pull a list of all the reoccurring costs for you, like all the monthly ones, so that you can go and see what they are, and it's a snap. It's really great. So maybe you subscribe to, you know, an app 4 years ago that you used very frequently. That little $4.99 a month or that $1.99 a month might still be there, and so let's just go ahead and cancel some of those little guys. Renegotiate things. Talk to your cable company, talk to the phone bill, talk to your phone company. And honestly, nothing's sacred. All right, I got a couple things going on in the chat. Truebill is great. Okay, I love that. Yep. So Kyle, is that something like Wells Fargo, where they'll let you know what your reoccurring expenses are? Yeah, so great. So that's awesome. It's Truebill, Truebill. It goes through your accounts and tells you all of your recurring expenses, because, you know, we're kind of the recurring expense economy now. We've got all these, we sign up for all these things. We don't really know what we're signing up for. So definitely look at all that and do whatever you can do to just cut down on your personal expenses. And honestly, you'll be better for it. You really will. You'll be 100% better for it. All right, we got some more stuff going on in the chat here. Yeah, it's all those free trials that we forget to cancel. Exactly. Yeah. And if you guys want to get really, serious with this, you can actually cancel your credit card. Just go ahead and cancel your main credit card on the personal side or on the business side. And then what's going to happen is that every bill that you had set up on your credit card is going to bounce. They're going to give you a notification that the credit card is canceled. And at that point, you can make a choice. Do I cancel this expense or do I not? I mean, that's an extreme way to deal with what we're dealing. And yet, you know, it's definitely one way to deal with it. So. All right, so I'm going to issue a challenge to everyone out there before we get to the Q&A is I want to see if you guys can go through your budgets and you can cut at least $1,000 a month today, right? So that's what we're going to start with. We're going to cut those expenses that we do not immediately, that we just don't need, right? So I would encourage everyone to cut $1,000 a month today. And then for some of you that run much bigger businesses, I've heard of people cutting over $100,000 from their budget in, you know, several days or less. We were able to cut on Monday. We were able to cut about $3,500 a month from our expenses, and we're pretty lean and mean because we do this on a monthly basis anyway. We do that very painful thing of printing out the credit cards, printing out the bank statements, and my operations director and I, we go through that, you know, at the very minimum quarterly, but lately it's been once a month. And again, that's super painful. So we're pretty lean and mean, but we were still able to cut some things on Monday. So, all right, again, so I just want to reiterate, do not wait. We do not have the luxury of waiting. And honestly, if you're renegotiating your lease with your landlord, if you're the first one, you're probably going to get a better treatment than if you're the 10th one. I'll just tell you that, right? Your landlord's going to be a lot more amenable if you're the first one that comes and says, hey, I've got a hardship, I need some help, than if you're the 10th one. So just take action today. And guess what? If this all blows over in 6 weeks, great. You've done a good job. You've saved yourself money. And you probably have a little bit of free time on your hands anyway. So this gives you something productive to do. All right, so that concludes it. I'm going to take some questions and ahas. You can find all of our businesses here at Papasan Properties, papasanhomes.com, and Amplify Event. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Wendy Papasan. Oops. And let's just open up that chat box. And I'm going to go open that up and see what we've got. All right, so let's see. Amanda says, I believe in coaching. I have a business coach. Where does that expense fall on the priority list? Keep, negotiate, cut. Okay, well, Amanda, I would say, you know, I'm personally keeping my coach because in times of stress, I need someone to bounce things off of, and my coach is really leaning into me. I mean, she's pretty much called me every single day. I know that if you're with Keller Williams, MAPS Coaching, just cut their coaching in half. So for the next couple of months, they're going to offer everyone kind of 50%. But, you know, everything's negotiable. Everything is absolutely negotiable. Any other questions out there? All right, Carolyn says, do you have suggestions on how to take physical farming to digital farming? Oh, that's a great question. So for those of you that are not in real estate, this really would apply to everyone. It's like, how do you get customers in a particular area of town? It's called farming. And the way that I would do that now is I would probably be pivoting to Facebook, right? I'd be doing some, you can do Facebook ads, whatever service you're offering. Like maybe now you have a restaurant that is delivering to the neighborhood. People can't come in anymore, but you want to tell people that you're delivering to the neighborhood. You can do what's called geolocating in Facebook, and you can run those Facebook ads in a geographic area to let them know, hey, you're open, you're delivering. And if you're in real estate, you know, I would be selling the benefits of everything that you're doing in terms of, you know, hey, we're still buying and selling. I know you're in a really tough market out there in San Francisco where everything's shut down. So I don't know exactly what you can do, but just showcasing your listings, you know, virtually through Facebook, because honestly, everyone's on Facebook right now. And, you know, anyone over 50, 40, anyone under 30 is on Instagram or whatever, wherever they're at. So, all right, so hopefully that was helpful. Okay, what about offering sick leave to employees? We have never done this. Small team with 4 hourly employees. Okay, so I don't know if you saw my message about the Small Business Association. Small Business Association is offering to pay some sick leave for employees that are sick. As far as sick leave just to regular employees, I guess maybe you're talking about long-term sick leave. I would definitely look to that SBA thing if you've only got 4 employees. All right, so Lauren says we run a small building that's in a very heavily trafficked area. We've been there a while and we moved back to the market center. We worry that it will send the message that we failed. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah, again, I would renegotiate your rent, even if it's for the time being. You know, the thing about this, I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen. But I think most of us understand that the worst of it will be happening in the next 4 to 6 months, right? And so what our team is doing is what's our plan for surviving the next 6 months, and then kind of reevaluating at that point. You know, I mean, Lauren, honestly, we canceled 2 of our offices. We're in a market center and we immediately canceled 2 of our offices because no one's working there anyway. And I hate to do that because I want to support my market center, and yet my business is more important. Oh, Christy says geolocating was turned after the Facebook fair housing thing. Well, you know what? That is news to me, so you're probably right. Sorry about that, guys. Any other ahas before we shove off today? What are your takeaways, and what are you gonna, and really your ahas, or what's the next thing you're gonna do, right? What are we gonna do the next 48 hours? Cut. Yep. $1,000 target. Yep. Glass of wine and credit card statements. Yeah, totally. Great. Calling all monthly expenses, take action. Yes, utilize KW Command for digital leads for those that are in real estate. All right, Jana loves cut 1,000 on Monday. She's going to cut another 1,000 today. Yep, that's great. Yeah, income tax preparation. You bring them through expenses. That's awesome. Zoom gatherings, keep community the way they are. Great. Great webinar like this for my team. That's awesome. Great. No expenses untouchable. Yep. Love it. Thrive versus survive. All right, we've got Martina from Ireland. All right, guys. Well, I really enjoyed being in touch with you today. Feel free to reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram or wherever I may be. A lot of you have my email address. It was great to see you, and stay strong out there, and whatever I can do to help you personally, I'm here for you. So stay in touch, and stay tuned for the next webinar. We're going to do a webinar next week on real estate investing. I know a lot of us aren't thinking with that mindset yet, and yet those of us who do have some cash reserves, the next few months might be a great time to really grow our wealth. So stay tuned for that webinar, and we'll see you all later. Bye.